Hollywood is buzzing, and the storm clouds are growing darker by the minute. Blake Lively, known for her flawless poise, has reportedly faced an explosive meltdown in court, one that sent every observer into complete shock. The presiding judge's decision to expose what many are calling her secret plan against Justin Baldoni has taken this feud to a whole new level, according to whispers and bombshell stories discussed by outlets like People magazine.
Sued her husband, and her publicist, Leslie Sloan. Stephanie Jones has quite a reputation, was not having it, tried to get her to stay unsuccessfully, and then, before she was due to leave, she fired her and took her laptop and took her cell phone.
Blake Lively's just going to deny, avoid, ignore. She's going to act like all the things that Justin pointed out that are very valid are just, abuser playbook tactics. Blake Lively has responded to Justin Baldoni's 179-page, $400 million lawsuit, and her response has only made me want to support Justin even louder. Him defending himself just proves he's the abuser. She doesn't address any of the actual valid things that Justin points out in his lawsuit, and instead just goes.
Then Abel filed a new motion that has shaken things up. Filed paperwork detailing her answer to the hair care professional's first amended complaint, as well as a third-party complaint against Stephanie Jones and Jones Works.
That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, right? This Justin Baldoni, most people had never even heard of him. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her. By the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made up, out of context complaints when he pushed back even in the mildest way. So she's a serial fraudster. That's
Lively's entire reputation could be on the line. This headline-grabbing drama has everyone asking the same question. How did it all come to this? The chaos began the moment Lively entered the courtroom. Eyes locked on the opposition, expression fierce. Onlookers claimed the usual confident air around her was gone, replaced by an unsettling tension. The judge then delivered the bombshell.
This is a big deal, though. Jen Abel's response to the Woody Allen apologist complaint was fairly typical stuff. I acknowledge this, I deny this, I verify I am this, there's insufficient blah, 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 that kind of stuff.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have hired former CIA agents with a proven track record of lying to the public, gaslighting the public.
In the filing, Jennifer's lawyers argue that Stephanie, as Jennifer's boss, pulled Jennifer into this mess and should therefore be responsible for any bills related to the case.
It's absurd that they were going on this level. Breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss.
His current publicist is named in the lawsuit against Baldoni by his former co-star and plantation princess, Blake Lively.
Documents, testimonies, and emails suggesting Lively had orchestrated a takedown campaign against Baldoni. Those inside the courtroom say the tension was so thick you could feel it in every corner. Witness accounts painted a picture of Lively visibly struggling to remain calm as the revelations poured out, her face betraying an unmistakable combination of anger and disbelief. The crowd outside the courthouse was thrown into an uproar as rumors spread. Some insisted Lively had finally been caught in a scheme aimed at humiliating Baldoni. Others argued that she was merely defending herself from a coordinated smear job.
Are her lawyers dumb? Like, what's happening? Why do they keep making these mistakes and fumbling the ball like this? I need to know who they were retaliating.
Included in the lawsuit that she brought against him is his production company, his producing partner, the billionaire co-founder who's paying all the legal bills, his crisis PR expert, and the digital guru whom we don't know really what he does.
I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public? This sort of like Blake complaining that they're evading the privacy, they're doing all this, but then meanwhile, right, she's on Saturday Night Live with Ryan making jokes, hitting back. I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about?
But the judge's pointed words were clear enough to spark open-mouthed astonishment among both the press and the legal teams. No one foresaw such a direct condemnation of Lively's alleged ulterior motives. It was a moment that signaled this fight is far from simple, and it's about to get a lot nastier. And just when everyone thought they'd heard it all, new details started leaking. Despite her glamorous facade, Lively, insiders whispered, had been seething about Baldoni for months, even years, playing a game that was destined for a massive collision. The meltdown was only the first sign that she might not be the picture of composure that fans are used to seeing. What happened next would leave everyone rattled. The bad blood reportedly began while filming It Ends With Us, a project that at first promised a groundbreaking collaboration between two major Hollywood talents. Initially, Lively and Baldoni seemed thrilled to combine their artistic visions, but behind the scenes, the synergy turned sour. According to those with insider knowledge, clashing opinions about script modifications, shooting schedules, and even on-set management sparked some behind-closed-doors confrontations. In interviews before tensions boiled over, both Lively and Baldoni were all smiles, praising each other's creativity and dedication. Yet, crew members quietly noted heated exchanges, hushed arguments in corridors, and a subtle frostiness whenever they had to collaborate. What began as a professional disagreement soon escalated into personal animosity. Allegedly, by the time production was halfway done, the atmosphere was so toxic that entire departments felt the strain. From there, the alleged friction branched out into their personal circles. Gossip spread that close friends were told to keep an eye on the other side's moves. Lively's acquaintances murmured about betrayal. Baldoni's allies claimed he was being cornered. The tension was unrelenting. Those initial sparks of conflict had erupted into an inferno, and despite attempts by producers and co-stars to smooth things over, it appeared this feud was locked on a collision course, one that no one could escape. But the real shock came when misconduct allegations were laid on the table. In an abrupt escalation, Lively accused Baldoni of crossing lines that should never be crossed in a professional environment. While details remained murky, sources close. To Lively insisted the alleged behavior created an unbearable workplace, implying he exploited his position to assert control. Suddenly, the conversation shifted from a routine on-set dispute to something far more disturbing. Headlines from tabloids and mainstream media devoured every morsel of information, and the rumor mill ran wild. Baldoni, however, immediately refused to fold. He struck back with public denials, framing Lively's charges as nothing more than a cold-blooded move to shatter his reputation. His supporters insisted he had no motive to act inappropriately, describing him as a champion of positive industry practices. Whether he was indeed innocent or simply mounting a clever defense was the talk of every red carpet and talk show for weeks. Fuel was added to the fire when People magazine published an article recounting conflicting witness accounts. Some claimed Lively had seemed genuinely distraught about her experiences, while others said she was exaggerating or twisting events to gain the upper hand. In an instant, fans and celebrities alike split into two camps. Accusations flew, opinions clashed, and Hollywood looked on in fascination as two beloved stars aired out allegations no one expected to see. It was a high-profile standoff that showed no sign of fading away, and what unfolded next would make it even more volatile. After weeks of hushed speculation and swirling stories, the legal showdown finally arrived. Insiders hinted that Lively was confident walking into the courthouse, believing her claims would be upheld by the system. Yet her world seemed to tilt upside down when the judge disclosed startling evidence pointing to a supposed sabotage campaign orchestrated by Lively herself. Observers recounted the hush that fell over the courtroom, the tense silence broken only by gasps from stunned attendees. According to reports, the evidence consisted of digital messages, interviews with staff, and fuel was added to the fire when People magazine published an article recounting conflicting witness accounts. Some claimed Lively had seemed genuinely distraught about her experiences, while others said she was exaggerating or twisting events to gain the upper hand. In an instant, fans and celebrities alike split into two camps. Accusations flew, opinions clashed, and Hollywood looked on in fascination as two beloved stars aired out allegations no one expected to see. It was a high-profile standoff that showed no sign of fading away, and what unfolded next would make it even more volatile. After weeks of hushed speculation and swirling stories, the legal showdown finally arrived. Insiders hinted that Lively was confident walking into the courthouse, believing her claims would be upheld by the system. Yet her world seemed to tilt upside down when the judge disclosed startling evidence pointing to a supposed sabotage campaign orchestrated by Lively herself. Observers recounted the hush that fell over the courtroom, the tense silence broken only by gasps from stunned attendees. According to reports, the evidence consisted of digital messages, interviews with staff, and possibly even recorded conversations, all suggesting Lively was actively plotting to undermine Baldoni's credibility. The judge did not mince words, making it clear that these findings cast a shadow over Lively's initial claims. And if that evidence were proven authentic, it would paint the actress in a drastically different light from the victim figure many believed her to be. Those present described Lively as overwhelmed, her composure shattered. Her eyes welled up as she allegedly slammed her fist on the table, disbelief plastered across her features. Witnesses said it was like watching a carefully curated public mask slip away. She then reportedly stormed out of the courtroom, ignoring reporters' frantic questions. Hollywood watchers questioned whether her breakdown marked the unraveling of a methodical plan, or if it was the agonized cry of a persecuted individual. But the fallout reached beyond mere gossip. It began to change the way colleagues and fans viewed Blake Lively altogether. In the immediate aftermath, lines were drawn throughout the industry. Lively's closest allies were quick to voice unwavering support, insisting they had known her for years and never doubted her integrity. Caitlin Olsen, for example, took to social media to praise Lively's character, urging people to let the courts do their job. Meanwhile, other well-known figures quietly distanced themselves, unsure of which direction the public opinion wind was blowing. Reputations can make or break in Hollywood, and in a scandal of this magnitude, everyone picked their position carefully. Ryan Reynolds, Lively's husband, found himself unwillingly thrust into the spotlight. Paparazzi grilled him at every turn, demanding to know if he stood by his wife. Rumors suggested that Reynolds was furious with the entire situation, especially how it threatened to tarnish Lively's persona. Yet the fear of legal entanglement forced him to tread lightly, offering minimal comments to press inquiries. That didn't stop speculation that he was consulting with high-level lawyers, preparing for any additional legal curveballs. Meanwhile, Baldoni's supporters displayed a mix of triumph. Eye-popping was the word used by journalists who scrambled to cover every twist. Each day seemed to bring a new revelation of alleged text messages or private calls where damaging remarks were made. People magazine's coverage captured the chaos, legal documents flying back and forth, interviews with unnamed insiders claiming they'd witnessed phone calls that indicated a planned attempt to ruin Baldoni's future in the industry. Some of these reports were direct, while others came in cryptic hints, leaving fans to piece together the puzzle. With both sides appearing equally determined to claim victory, the industry trembled under the weight of such a huge scandal. Producers eyed their next projects warily. Casting directors wondered if either star's involvement might incite backlash from the public. The rumor was that even established directors reconsidered hiring either Lively or Baldoni until the legal dust settled. No one wanted to gamble millions on a film, only to watch it sink under negative publicity. Still, that wasn't the whole story. There was more happening behind closed doors than anyone guessed. As the lawsuit drama reached fever pitch, new rumors began to swirl about Lively's broader circle. Some gossip claimed that tension had arisen between Lively and a few other prominent actresses who felt her alleged meltdown gave them a reason to question her sincerity. Tabloids were abuzz with speculation that she'd cut off a couple of longtime friends who privately doubted her side of the narrative. Whispers suggested these breakups were swift and brutal, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the entire fiasco. Meanwhile, Baldoni wasn't immune to controversy. Rumors emerged linking him to hush-hush projects, with detractors saying he was trying to use the media spotlight to catapult himself into new ventures. Others pointed out that any short-term gains he might be enjoying would be fleeting, given how quickly sentiments can flip in Hollywood. And let's not forget the swirl of talk that major studios were hoping this matter would be resolved swiftly to avoid overshadowing big-budget releases. Over the last few years, Lively had mostly been in a positive spotlight, raising her family, championing philanthropic causes, and dazzling fans with her red carpet sense. Now, a wave of cynicism crept in. Was she always harboring resentment that led her down this path? Did the pressures of the industry push her to alleged sabotage? On social media, half the fans displayed unwavering loyalty, while the other half couldn't wait to dissect every fresh rumor. Nobody saw a neat conclusion on the horizon, and there was a sense that the worst was yet to come. A meltdown of this magnitude is bound to leave permanent imprints on careers. For Blake Lively, the possibility of studios and directors hesitating to collaborate with her is a real concern. While some argue her star power can weather any controversy, others believe the alleged plotting to take down a fellow celebrity reveals a ruthless streak that might scare away future partners. How much of her public image is irreparably damaged remains uncertain, but the ripple effect is undeniable. Justin Baldoni, for his part, faces a crossroads. If he successfully clears his name, he could emerge stronger, with newfound sympathy from fans who originally saw him as overshadowed by Lively's popularity. However, if any hidden truths are uncovered that incriminate him further, it could derail not only his career, but any philanthropic ventures he's associated with. Hollywood is equally enthralled and horrified, because let's face it, nobody wants to bet on a star who might be drowning in scandal. Meanwhile, rumors swirl that Ryan Reynolds is recruiting top-tier legal minds to protect his family's reputation. People who once saw the Lively-Reynolds union as a pillar of Hollywood romance are now questioning what tensions might exist behind closed doors. Gossip outlets speculate that behind every statement of support, there's a strategy session to preserve brand and legacy. At the same time, watchers wonder if other close friends might get dragged into the legal spotlight. Executives from streaming platforms, networks, and film studios have been quietly exchanging calls about whether to slow down or halt any new deals involving the feuding parties. The appetite for risk in the film world is never particularly high, and with the press devouring every scandalous detail, no one wants their brand attached to something that could turn even uglier. In this environment, every move, every word counts. One ill-timed post or appearance could set off fresh outrage or spark further suspicion, and what happens next could upend everything. When it comes to Hollywood controversies, few can match the fierce intensity of Blake Lively's alleged courtroom implosion. From the rumored sabotage conspiracy exposed by a no-nonsense judge to the emotional outbursts that shocked witnesses, this ongoing saga has combined drama, betrayal, and survival into a single spectacle. And while the pages of People magazine and other outlets continue dissecting every new clue, the larger question remains: where does this leave Lively, Baldoni, and everyone else ensnared in their orbit? For now, the feud is anything but resolved. Lively's meltdown sent ripples that challenge her once untouchable image, while Baldoni must keep proving his innocence in a world that thrives on sensational updates. No matter the legal outcome, these events have transformed them both in the public eye. Alliances have shifted, trust has been shattered, and everyone in Tinseltown knows this saga could shape the careers of everyone involved for years to come. As viewers, fans, or casual onlookers, we're left to watch these tumultuous developments and wonder, has Hollywood ever seen a clash quite like this? The allegations cut to the core of creative freedom, personal boundaries, and the far-reaching consequences of ambition. By the time the dust finally settles, one thing's certain: this story won't slip away quietly. In a world powered by headlines and hungry for scandal, the meltdown of Blake Lively stands out as a stark reminder that beneath the glitz and glamour, even the biggest stars can fall victim to feuds that spiral out of control. And as fresh revelations keep trickling in, it's clear that the final chapter of this explosive conflict is still unwritten.